This is Slater's block. So in this area, we just joined the canal near the local pub called the Kipax. You may know of that pub, you may not. So there the overflow that normally fills down to the bottom of the canal disappears into the factory. It's part of the sewage works, but it draws the water away and returns it at the bottom of the lock after the treated sewage water has been used and then returns. Basically, you can see an inlet that used to come into the canal there, another channel. That was relief for the sewage works that went straight into this lock and into the canal. As shocking as that seems today, in the Industrial Revolution, these sort of things were normal. It's quite a long explanation because we don't understand about cholera and germs, and the fact of making money is the prime objective. There's a lot of pollution and things like that during industrial revolutions, so that's just another subject. So the sewage was pumped in at this gate, lock gate. Incidentally, up at Chadderton, as I walked down from the Chadderton Branch Canal, the old-fashioned Chadderton Branch Canal, we saw a runoff that went down to, it looked like a brook or a river, and I said it might be the Medlock and we'll look into it. It isn't the Medlock, it is actually part of some of the brooks. There's about 3 down there, but it was connected to the sewer works, the old Chadderton sewer treatment works, which was situated at the bottom of that flume where I said it's near British Aerospace. And I would explain before we got to the town centre what that was. We haven't found the Medlock just yet, or I haven't identified it. We'll get that in the very last video before the town centre. So we are heading, well, I'm heading down into the town centre. From here is the Ashton Canal, just slightly further down. That will be a separate film, the next film I do. Then that documentary will link into Castlefield Basin through Piccadilly and Deansgate. But before that, we have a section which changes direction from the main canal, which has led all the way down here. It's been travelling south most of the way. Southwest. Anyway, it changes direction. It's come down from Rochdale. We see a sharp turn and into a westerly direction from here into the town centre. So we're actually at the side of the town centre really now. The canal is in fact culverted into a straight concrete channel that goes through Droylsden Road Bridge, under Droylsden Road Bridge. Then also under Church Street Bridge, that's where we encounter Victorian Mill's site, and that's the Miles Platting area. Well, we're in the Miles Platting area. We will end up in Newton Heath, but the whole area is Newton Heath. Or in old language, New Town Heath. So it's a heath where a new town was placed. Was once an open area. That's what it was called once. It was a new town on a heath, which is pretty straightforward. At the end of the sections we'll see in this short movie compared to the other movies, the film Lower Chadderton, then we've gone through Palesworth in the movie after that, and this is the third part. These are 3 shorter length documentaries, movies. So the next one will be where the Ashton Canal joins, and that's Ardwick. That's the area of Manchester. The section of canal where Ashton links are connected to the Rochdale Canal. It actually forms a loop, the two canals together. They both meet again in Sowerby Bridge over in Yorkshire. So I'm thinking one day I'm going to have to cover that canal also. So Newton Heath, it's 2.8 miles from Manchester city centre, a population around 10,000 people, but it was only around 10% of that, even might have been 5% of that just before the Industrial Revolution. So 500 or 1,000 people lived in Newtown Heath. It was a very, very rural area of Lancashire until the Industrial Revolution swallowed it up whole, like a lot of villages and small places. The heath or meadow would have stretched, open from like Miles Platting right up to Failsworth. It is surrounded by waterways on all four sides, the River Medlock, Moston, Newton and Shooters brooks all run around the edge of it. So that channel has been culverted for the last 200 metres to raise it up higher. You can see it's got a concrete topping and those doors are much taller. So that's like a 4-metre lock instead of a 3-metre lock. I would assume that's so they can get rid of one of the locks, but I am not entirely sure. As we come out here, we get into the Victorian era, of course named after Queen Victoria. Victorian Mill is a Grade 2 listed 19th century cotton spinning mill. It's in the Miles Platting area of Greater Manchester, or Manchester Centre now. It was a double mill designed by George Woodhouse. It was completed in 1869, but was still in use until 1960. It's built alongside the Rochdale Canal on Varley Street. Constructed for William Holland of the Adelphi Mill in Salford. It's a 6-storey double mill and it has a shared engine house at the base. So one engine house runs both mills. It has a hexagonal chimney with a staircase, which is unusual and rare, but also a good idea. And I bet the steeplejacks thought that was a good idea too, because they wouldn't have to climb up the outside of the chimney. So, probably ahead of its time. Don't know why they didn't build staircases round the chimneys. I've thought that before. Rather than have to climb up ladders up the side. So it would seem that the designer George Woodhouse was actually, quite ahead of his time. It seems like he cared about the workers for a start. So it was built in 2 phases, 1869 and 1873, the second part. But it had yellow brick dressings, but the fireproof brick. Internal structure is designed as fireproof because air can't be sucked into the building, and that's why the chimney and engine house are separate and are actually built below the levels of the mill.
So it is actually stated as a fireproof building. It must be something to do with the design. Also, you can maintain the chimney with a staircase. So he's thinking of maintaining the building, and of course fires were, devastating back in the 1800s. So there's, a bit of forethought gone into these.
Manchester United Football Club has strong links here. Most people think they were called Newton Heath Football Club originally, but in fact they were the Lancashire and Yorkshire Railway Football Club. So it was a private football club of the Lancashire and Yorkshire Railway. Now, they were a very successful railway, so they would have had quite a lot of influence, and for the day they would have had cash, so it would have been their private football team for the people who worked there, but then became more professional. So Newton Heath FC was actually called the LYR FC, which is not a very catchy name. So Newton Heath is where they came from, the football team originally. So it's not a great name. So Newton Heath Football Club is probably better than the Lancashire and Yorkshire Railway Football Club. But that is what Manchester United were originally called, and not a lot of people know that. And I'm fascinated by the Lancashire and Yorkshire Railway Company, and that was a very interesting fact to discover. It was based here in Newton Heath, the company's football team. So there you go. The original pitch is situated to our left. It's now been relocated to Old Trafford, which is of course in Old Trafford. But right through the Industrial Revolution, from before the Industrial Revolution, of course looms and cotton and mills were already doing okay in Lancashire. The Industrial Revolution just made everything increase like 20 times. Yeah, everything got 20 times bigger and we produced 20 times more things. The steel for Blackpool Tower was actually forged here too.
I'll get a bit of blur. Goes down in towards the town then. It's just the UK. Ashton Canal will be the next section I film. It's going dark.
The prime industry in the area was engineering in these mills in this area. The very first sprinkler system in the world was built and designed and fitted in this area. So there's many first things built in this area. The electrical machines were a big thing here. We worked a lot on electrical systems, so in these more modern mills. So this is concentrating more on machinery. Before the Industrial Revolution, of course, Newton's Silk Mill and Monsell Silk Dye Works developed, and they are still working.